Hello, my friends. This is Tassif. I want to wish you all a very good morning because the time right now is 12:15 a.m. 15 minutes past midnight. This is October the 30th, and I'm starting this live stream very early in the morning. And I hope that our friends will be joining us so we can discuss. Okay, what are we going to discuss? We're going to discuss President Trump's trip to Asia. So I see Richard Miller is here. Richard, great to see you. Richard Miller is here, and then William Miller is here. Victoria is here. Great to see you all, my friends. Thanks for joining me at this hour. Obviously, our friends in the Eastern time zone, it's 1:16 right now for you. Okay. More friends are joining. That's great. Great to see you all. My friends, President Trump has wrapped up his visit to Malaysia, and then he also completed his trip to Japan. And now we're getting updates from South Korea. President Trump had a very significant visit in South Korea. Okay, this is the final country in the list of final country in the list for President Trump's Asia tour 2025. And President Trump had a great visit in Japan. Let's just talk about that first, okay? President Trump met with Sanae Takaichi, okay? And I apologize if I'm not pronouncing the name correctly. Sanae Takaichi, who is the first female prime minister of Japan. So great success. Sanae Takaichi, a brilliant prime minister, a great prime minister, and the first female prime minister of Japan. And President Trump met with Prime Minister Takaichi, and President Trump announced an agreement toward, and you're gonna love this. When I talk about this agreement, I just want you to listen to what I have to say. President Trump announced an agreement toward a new golden age for the United States and Japan alliance. My friends, we always want strong relationship with our allies. That is one of the many reasons why we voted for Donald J. Trump. Do you remember November 2024? It was not that long ago. You must remember November 2024. When we, the American people, we voted for President Donald J. Trump. And we voted for him for a wide variety of reasons. We wanted a strong economy, so we voted for Trump. We wanted border security, so we voted for Trump. We wanted public safety, so we voted for Trump. We wanted strong military, so we voted for Trump. We wanted a strong manufacturing sector, so we voted for Trump. We wanted mass deportation, so we voted for Trump. And we also wanted a president who would put 100% of his efforts in strengthening our relationship with our international allies. My friends, our international allies are important. In this world, we want to have strong allies like Japan. Tangerine's here. Tangerine, good to see you. DSAR is here. DSAR, good to see you. My friends, I was so pleased and I'm so happy every time I think about this. These are all great updates that we're getting as President Trump is in Asia. In Asia, and each and every hour goes by, each and every day goes by, we're getting all these new updates. And I'm so happy to know, and I'm so happy to share with you that President Trump announced an agreement toward a new golden age for the United States and Japan alliance. My friends, are you going to write Japan is our friend in the live chat, please? If you support this agreement, if you support a strong alliance with Japan, just write Japan is our friend in the live chat. Because Japan is our friend. And Japan will always be our friend. It's one of our strongest allies. My friends, what must be noted is that the two countries, the United States of America and Japan, agreed on a framework for securing the supply of critical minerals and rare earths through mining and processing. And I think every day we're hearing about critical minerals. We're hearing about rare earths, right? These are the words that we're hearing almost every day. Because things are changing, the world is changing, our needs are evolving. We're using so many electronic devices, we're using advanced vehicles. We have so many smart features that we use in everyday life, in our home also. My friends, when we have such advanced technology, and we want more innovation, we want more advanced technology, now AI is coming. I mean, the world is changing really fast. I mean, if you go back to the 1990s, the world was different, very different. And every year that passed, things changed. And technology, I mean, if you buy a smartphone now, 2 years later, it's going to start feeling like it's an old one. Because technology evolves so fast. There are developments all the time. And so we need the critical minerals, we need the rare earths, okay? And given all the advancements that we're seeing, and think about national defense, think about military technology, we need these critical minerals and rare earths, okay? And this agreement between Japan and the United States of America will benefit industries in both our country and in Japan. My friends, I talked about win-win situation previously. Do you remember that? By the way, if you are here, please make sure that you're subscribing, okay? Subscribe and be a part of this community. And if you're here for the first time, just let me know. Just write first time in the live chat so I can acknowledge you, okay? So I can say hello. My friends, this agreement will benefit both countries. And previously I've talked about win-win situation. I think I've done that more than once. I said that in a partnership, in a trade relationship, we can have a win-win situation. It should be a win-win situation. America, just understand this, because I think these are some of the basic things that people need to understand. So I'm going to share that with you. Just stay here. Just stay here. Just stay here, my friends. And I'm going to tell you what exactly I think. Hold on a second here. So America is not looking for one-sided deals. America is looking for fairness. When we talk about negotiating deals, when we talk about renegotiating deals, when we talk about resolving disputes, all that we're trying to do is we're trying to ensure fairness. My friends, fairness means that we ought to have a win-win situation. It should be a win-win relationship. What we are looking for in trade deals, in bilateral relationships, we're looking for a situation in which America wins and also the country that we're dealing with, they also win. All we want is fairness. Fairness for America, fairness for the other country. Because, we like to have good relationship with our trading partners. We like to have good relationship with our allies. When we're exporting, when we're importing, we want to have a good relationship with the other country. So we're not looking for one-sided benefits. We're looking for a win-win situation, a situation in which both parties win. So for some people, it's just hard to understand. And I don't know why. You got to understand one thing. President Trump, since the very beginning, he has been saying, make America great again. Make America great again. Absolutely. Because we, the American people, we vote for him so he can make America great again. Because America is our country. We love America. We want to see America greater than ever before. But in the process, you got to understand this. It's a simple logic, but some people don't seem to understand, which is why I need to highlight that and I need to explain it. Explain it by, explain it fully from start to finish. When we make America great again, of course, we're focusing on our country. Absolutely. But we're also in bilateral relationships, we're looking for fairness. And so when we make America great again, please understand this, that our allies will also greatly benefit. Evelyn is here. Evelyn, good to see you. Evelyn, let me ask you this. Our friend Evelyn from Las Vegas. Evelyn, do you agree with me when I say that we want win-win relationship with other countries? That we're looking for fairness in international trade? Would you agree with me? Is our friend AC here? AC, would you agree with me? If you don't, you can just let me know. Anyone. You can let me know that, hey, I don't agree with you, and then you can share your viewpoints. Let me know, my friends. AC says yes. See, our friend AC from Arizona says yes. Evelyn, our friend from Vegas, is saying that's exactly what Trump is doing. Thank you, Evelyn. Evelyn understands this. AC understands this. And I know many of you watching, not everyone's participating in the live chat, but I know that you understand this. We're looking for fairness. And when America is great again, when we win, our allies also win. Look at NATO. All you got to do is look at NATO. NATO loves the United States. Why? Because it is because of US leadership that NATO is stronger than ever before. So when we say that we're going to make America stronger than ever before, our allies also win. And NATO is a large group of countries. And NATO is stronger than ever before. And it's because of US leadership. You have to understand the direct relationship here. It's not an inverse relationship. When if there's unfair trade, then one country wins and the other country loses. And that was actually what was going on for a long time. We were losing, other countries were winning. That's right. For a long time, we were losing and other countries were winning. So you look at bilateral relationships, relationship after relationship with the different countries. We were losing, other countries were winning, and President Trump said, hold on, I'm not going to let that happen. We're losing. We can't allow that. Now, we don't want to switch things around. We're not saying that we're going to win, other countries will lose. No. We want to have fairness so that we win, the other countries win, our allies win, everyone's happy. Fairness. And that direct relationship can be seen when you look at NATO. America is stronger. America now has a stronger military, stronger than ever before. And so NATO is strong too. Our allies, our NATO allies. And so, my friends, I always have believed, and I still do, and I always will, that when there's strong leadership in the White House, when we have a patriot in the White House, and we have the greatest patriot in the White House now, Donald Trump, when we have a strong president, a strong leader in the White House, in the Oval Office, we're going to win, and our trustworthy allies will also tremendously benefit. So this framework, this US-Japan framework, is going to ensure that the two countries are strong partners in accelerating the development of diversified, liquid, and fair markets for critical minerals and rare earths. There's going to be a lot of mining. Okay? So if you are an extreme left-wing climate change activist, you're probably not going to like this. If you, anyone here who is an extreme left-wing climate change activist, anyone here, do we have any far left activist here? If we do, identify yourself. Just say who you are. If you are a left-wing, super far left climate change activist, then you are not going to be happy. You're not going to be happy about what I'm saying right now. But if you are somebody who has common sense, if you are not a far left activist, instead, if you are a person who understands logic, who understands common sense, who has practical knowledge about life, who understands the reality, who understands how the economy works, who understands how the markets work, who understands how global system of trade works, even if you just have the basic knowledge and you're a person with common sense, you are going to love it. Whatever I'm saying right now, because I'm saying there's going to be a lot of mining. Now, who loves mining? I love mining. I love the fact that there's going to be renewed emphasis on mining. We got to mine, we got to drill, we have to extract the God-given natural resources, my friends. Why do you think the great Almighty God, the great Almighty God, why do you think the great Almighty God gave us all these important resources, coal, oil, gas, the critical minerals? Why did God give us on this big, beautiful earth that we call home, my friends? We all share this earth. No matter where you are, you live on this planet, we share this earth, my friends. We love this earth. And we recognize the bounty that we have. Enormous resources right here. God has given us as gift all the natural resources, and what we must do is we must utilize the resources. We must extract the resources. We must use the resources to improve the lives of the human beings. The far left activists will tell you something else. They'll tell you no mining, no drilling. Then what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? Not do anything? Shut down the factories, shut down the industries, stop production, stop innovation, stop research, stop commerce, stop business? What are we supposed to do, my friends? That's why I said do not listen to the far left, because what they say would never make any sense. Don't listen to the climate fear-mongering group that tells you, hey, the world's gonna come to an end. The weather is warming up, the climate's changing. Sometimes they'll tell you, oh, it's gonna be really hot. Sometimes they tell you, oh, there's gonna be a new ice age. We don't know what they are talking about. They themselves don't know what they are talking about. So please, don't listen to the radical far left climate change fear-mongering people. Listen to common sense. Follow the logic. Understand the reality. God has given us resources for a reason. What is that reason? We have to use the resources. We have to extract the resources, process those resources, and make good use of them. Improve lives, build better devices, build better technology, so that we can help others. My friends, I'm happy to tell you, there's going to be a lot of mining. We love mining. And let me give you a paragraph from this agreement that was signed, this framework, this amazing plan that the United States of America and Japan came up with. It says right here in the document, it says the participants, meaning the participants are the two countries, the United States of America and our great ally Japan. It says, and I quote, the participants recognize that this framework will continue as long as both participants work in good faith and with a cooperative attitude to strengthen the supply chains between the two countries. End quote. This is so great. This is so wonderful. The emphasis on good faith, the emphasis on cooperation, the emphasis on strengthening supply chains between the two countries, the emphasis on working together, being strong partners, being strong allies, my friends. So the United States and Japan, based on this amazing framework, the United States and Japan will continue to work in good faith and with a cooperative attitude to strengthen the supply chains between the two countries. So look at this document. You got to look at this document. And I have said this on a number of occasions. I've given you some highlights, some quotes, some paragraphs, some sentences from a larger document, and I've always encouraged people to go and read the whole document. It's not possible for me to read it to you here. You got to go read, and everything's on the White House website, because that's where you're going to get authentic information and the complete information. If you read the news, great. You're probably going to get a little bit of the language reported in the news, and they're probably going to summarize stuff. But if you want to read the entirety of these frameworks and these agreements, you have to go to the White House website, the briefings and statements section, and you will find complete information. And that's where I go, and that's where I extract some of the very important paragraphs from, so I can share that with you. The accurate words, the exact language. So my friends, read about securing supply, read about investment in mining and processing, read about permitting, read about fair competition, read about the pricing mechanisms, and read about about stockpiling, and there's a lot more. There's a lot more. Storytime is saying MAGA. Thank you so very much, my friends. If you are saying MAGA, if you are a patriot, if you truly believe that our focus should be on making America great again, please write MAGA. Write MAGA in the live chat window and send a message to everyone who's watching that you strongly believe in making America great again. Thank you, my friends. And make sure that you're subscribing, okay? Don't forget that. We are growing the size of this beautiful community that we have. Close to 15,000. Subscribe and be a part of this community. So, in case you have not seen, and I would be very shocked if you say, oh, I didn't see it. But let's say you didn't see it because you've been busy doing other things. You know, people have lives, they have work, they have personal commitments. So maybe you haven't seen it, but I'm sure you've heard about it. Even if you haven't seen this on a TV or a computer screen, I'm sure that you've heard about this already. President Trump delivered a great speech aboard USS George Washington. George Washington, USS George Washington. By the way, before I continue, my friends, we talk about the greatest presidents in American history. Of course, George Washington's name comes first. I know that. But we're also, keep in mind, we're also, in our lifetime, we are seeing one of the greatest presidents. We are seeing his actions every day. We're hearing his words every day. We're following his decisions and actions. And that is Donald J. Trump. Absolutely. So, write, I love Trump. You can also write, I love George Washington. Or you know what? You can write, we love Washington and Trump. Why don't you write that, my friends? Please do it in the live chat. We love Washington and Trump. Nikki says MAGA. Hello, Nikki. Kay Cooper is here, our friend from the great state of Texas, writing President Trump. Evelyn is writing, I love Donald J. Trump. Thank you. So let's continue. And make sure that you're hitting the like button. You got to hit the like button. Evelyn is writing, I love Washington and Trump. Absolutely. I love Washington and Trump. And also Lincoln. Also Lincoln and Eisenhower, right? I always mention 4 names. Washington, Lincoln, Eisenhower, Trump. Yes, Reagan. Absolutely, Reagan. Absolutely. Reagan too. Absolutely. Ronald Reagan, the great Ronald Reagan. Thank you. Thank you, my friends. So, what a great speech that President Trump delivered aboard USS George Washington. USS George Washington, if you look at that aircraft carrier, USS George Washington, you know what you're going to see? If you look at USS George Washington, just you can Google that. You can go online, find a picture of USS George Washington, and you are going to see American strength, American power. USS George Washington. And Prime Minister of Japan Sanae Takaichi was also there. She was on USS George Washington, and President Donald J. Trump, during his speech, when he was speaking, and let me tell you, in case you haven't seen, there was so much energy. You could feel the energy. The young service members who were there, the young military service members, they were happy. They were happy. They were excited that President Trump was there aboard USS George Washington. What a great moment it was. What a great day it was. The military service members, they're always going to remember that day. Those who were there, those who saw everything in person. We watched on TV, we watched on TV screen, laptop screen, but those who watched in person aboard USS George Washington, they will never forget that. And what an amazing experience for the young military service members to see one of the greatest American presidents delivering a speech aboard USS George Washington. And so President Trump, during his speech, he also invited the Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi, and she spoke, and her speech was also a great speech. It was brief, but it was great, and the message was very strong. And you know what? President Trump, during this visit to Japan, he said to Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi that we, meaning America, that we are an ally at the strongest level. Now, there are so many countries around the world, so many great relationships that we have with other countries. But when the US president is sitting at a table, and on the other side you have the prime minister of a different country, in this case Japan, and when President Trump says, directly, face to face, with other people watching, with the media recording, when he says that we are an ally at the strongest level, do you understand the significance of those words? This is President Trump saying that to the Japanese Prime Minister, saying that we, meaning America, that we are an ally at the strongest level. Now you can understand the bond that we have with Japan. By the way, has anyone been to Japan? Anyone here? Anyone who's watching, you've been to Japan? Let me know. I've never been to Japan. It's a beautiful country. I'd love to visit someday. But I have not been to Japan. But if anyone here has been to Japan and you want to talk about your experience, that'd be great. That'd be great. Let me know. Have you been to Japan? My friends, a lot of people watching, just please make sure that you subscribe to be a part of this wonderful community that we have here. Please subscribe. Okay, so you can understand the bond that we have with Japan by listening to President Trump's words. And President Trump, we know that he says what he means. And what he says, that's a super strong commitment. And so when President Trump said, we are an ally at the strongest level, that was not just a message for Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi and her administration. That was a message for every Japanese person, every Japanese citizen, everyone in Japan. That was a message for everyone in Japan from the US president saying that America is Japan's ally at the strongest level. So, my friends, everything, I think that overall trip went really well. It was great. Okay, the trip to Malaysia, the trip to Japan, and on to South Korea. President Trump, after Malaysia, after Japan, he went to South Korea, and South Korea is a very strong ally as well. And you know what? For a while, people kept thinking, is President Trump going to meet with Kim Jong un of North Korea? So, President Trump, the final destination of his Asia trip is South Korea. But there was a question, especially over the last couple days. People kept wondering, is there going to be a meeting between President Trump and North Korea's Kim Jong un? Now, I'm not sure if that's going to happen this time. I don't think there's enough time for that meeting to happen this time. Maybe there is, I don't know. But I do remember President Trump had 3 meetings with Kim Jong un of North Korea during President Trump's first term in office. And I'm hopeful, and this is just me, you can, as an individual, as an American, as somebody who wants to see greater peace around the world, I'm hopeful that at some point there's going to be a meeting between President Trump and North Korea's Kim Jong un. Keep in mind, we talk to our allies, we talk to our friends, but we also have to talk to countries that are not our friends, countries that we might consider to be an adversary. We would still need to have dialogue with them. We would still have to have conversation. Okay, you can't just say, oh, that country is not a friend, that country is an adversary, we're not going to talk with them. I mean, that's an easy way out. And I've talked about this before. You can just say, we're not going to talk. End of story. But no, a successful leader, a good leader, a wise leader would always welcome dialogue, whether it's with your friend or with a country that you consider to be, as I said, an adversary. And so, based on that, I think at some point President Trump and Kim Jong un should meet again. When is that going to be? I don't know. If that's going to happen at all, I don't know. But I hope it does. I hope it does. And there's something important that took place in South Korea, which you might say was probably the biggest highlight of the trip. You can come up with your own judgment as to what you would consider the biggest highlight from the trip. But a lot of people might say, oh, this meeting with China's leader, Xi Jinping. All right. So President Trump already met with China's Xi Jinping. And we saw yesterday evening, because, we're past midnight here. We saw just a few hours ago, we saw that handshake. 2 big leaders from 2 major economies, of course, 2 major economies. The United States obviously is the biggest economy, the strongest in every way, economically strongest, militarily we're the strongest. And we're proud of that. And we will always keep it that way. We're the United States of America. We are the Americans. We believe in freedom. So we're going to be the greatest. And we are, and we will be. But then China is also a major economy. We know that. They produce a lot of output. They do a lot of trade. They're trying to build up their military, trying to make it stronger. So we understand that China is trying to compete with the US. China is trying to be stronger than the US. But you know what? We've made a commitment with the American people that we're going to be the strongest. We will remain the strongest. That's always our goal. We're going to have to be at the top. But yeah, China is also a major economy. And the world was watching when these 2 leaders greeted each other. The world was watching eagerly as President Trump and China's leader Xi Jinping shook hands with each other. I was watching it live, and you could see in the room, you could hear it. The reporters, the journalists, the cameramen, the photographers, they were all excited. I mean, because they know that this is what the whole world is watching. The China-US relationship, America's relationship with China, affects the whole world. Let's see. Let's see who's Eric. Thank you so much, Eric. Any of my friends here? Let me know, and make sure you subscribe, okay? Please do so. If you have not done so yet, make sure you're subscribing. Kay Cooper is here. Hi, Kay. All right. Please subscribe if you have not done so yet. And I have more to talk about, so don't go anywhere. All right. Okay. All right, my friends. Let's continue. Carlos says hi there. Hi, Carlos. All right. So I was watching it live with tremendous interest, obviously. I'm always watching what's happening in the country and around the world. I'm always following politics and local domestic issues, international relations, and all that. I mean, it's just a lot of information to absorb in any given day, but I'm always trying to catch up with the important stuff. So anyway, we watched that handshake. We watched the greeting, and then the two leaders and their teams sat down for a longer, more elaborate meeting. That meeting was behind closed doors. China's leader, Xi Jinping, had his team. President Donald Trump had his team, including Marco Rubio, and who is doing really an outstanding job, fantastic job as the Secretary of State. And Secretary Scott Bessent was also there, Treasury Secretary, and the U.S. Ambassador to China, he was there. And so at the start of the meeting, obviously with the cameras rolling and the reporters, both the leaders, they delivered brief remarks. So President Trump said a few words. Mr. Xi Jinping, he said a few words. And then it was a private meeting. Now, after the meeting ended, President Trump, while on Air Force One, he talked to the media. I don't know if you've seen that. I was actually listening to it right before I started this live stream. Like right before I started this live stream, I was listening to what President Trump, like the questions he answered. So people asked him, like, have you talked about Ukraine? So yes, they did talk about Ukraine. Okay. Now we we're not gonna get a lot of details um, in the at least we didn't get a lot of the details as President Trump was talking to the press, because a lot of the information will be presented officially by the White House in the form of probably statements or press releases. So, but still, President Trump provided some helpful information, um, and there'll be more details released later on. So, based on what President Trump said, they talked about Ukraine in that meeting. Um, I think when the topic of Ukraine came up, I believe President Trump highlighted once again that he wants this war to end. He wants the bloodshed to stop. The Ukraine-Russia war, it has caused tremendous devastation. And we, the American people, we want that war to end. Now, we understand Ukraine's far, far away. Russia is far, far away. But we don't want to see lives being lost. We don't want to see bloodshed. We don't want to see conflict. We don't want to see people getting displaced. We don't want to see children being separated from their parents in Ukraine. Okay, and that has happened, and that is something that our First Lady Melania Trump is trying to address. She's trying to, she has open communication with Russia, with President Putin, to try to basically, address this issue. And First Lady Melania Trump, she did talk about this matter not too long ago in a speech. She did say that her team has been in communication with Vladimir Putin's team to make sure that the children who were taken by Russia, Ukrainian children, who were separated from their parents, their families, who were taken by Russia, that those children should be reunited with the parents. That is the right thing to do. That is what should be happening. And so America is trying to really do the right thing. End this war, end the Ukraine-Russia war, end the devastation, end the loss of lives, reunite the children who are displaced, who are taken away into Russia, reunite the children with their families. And President Trump is trying his best. His administration is doing a great job. And our First Lady, Melania Trump, she's also playing a tremendous role in ensuring that the children are, they are reunited so that the children can be safe and in the right hands with their parents, with their families. So yeah, Ukraine is something that President Trump and Xi Jinping talked about. The question came up about Taiwan, and I don't remember the exact answer, but it seemed that Taiwan was not discussed. Okay? Because, people have a lot of questions about Taiwan. People want to know what China is thinking with regard to Taiwan. And I don't know the answer, but I don't think that was discussed. But anyway, if you want President Trump's direct answer, if you want to hear his exact words, you can go and listen to that media interview that he did on Air Force One. And soybeans were discussed, overall trade, tariffs. President Trump also said that tariffs are being reduced, and I forget what the number was. Anyway, I don't want to give you a number which may end up being wrong. So I think you should go and listen to the interview yourself. But tariff is being reduced. Okay, so obviously the conversation has been very, very fruitful. And keep something in mind. When two leaders meet, of course, they talk directly face to face. But there's a lot of follow-up. that happens afterwards. So the State Department will continue talking to the Chinese, administration, their foreign relations or foreign affairs department, whatever that is called. Um, some people call it the foreign ministry in some countries. We call it, the State Department. Different countries call it by different names. So, but you get the point, right? Our Secretary of State, our State Department will likely continue conversation with China, and obviously we got our Treasury Secretary, we got the Commerce Secretary. Many important people are involved from the U.S. side in these negotiations. We got the trade representative, so Commerce Secretary, Treasury Secretaries, Trade Representative, Secretary of State, and there are others involved in negotiations, and of course President Trump himself. So anyway, I think it was overall a great meeting. I felt great about what President Trump had to say. Um, what President Trump had to say after the meeting, the things he shared with the media, and overall, I think this Asia trip has been great. Okay, that is my understanding. That is the impression I get. But you can share your thoughts with me, whatever it is that you're thinking. But I want to thank really our President Donald J. Trump and his team, and also First Lady Melania Trump. We're really not talking about the Ukraine-Russia war. That's not the focus of this live stream. It's primarily about the trip to Asia, Malaysia, Japan, and South Korea, and the conversation with Xi Jinping. But we also have to thank our First Lady Melania Trump for, what she is doing to ensure the safety of children. So if you want to thank Melania Trump, please write "Thank you, Melania Trump" in the live chat. Please write that. Thank you, Melania Trump. All right, let's see. All right, my friends, let's continue. Let's see who's here. All right, we're gonna if you have any questions, my friends, you can ask me. Any questions for me? Our friend Evelyn is here. Our friend AC Cruz. Carlos is asking, why so quiet? Well, when I read the comments, I stay quiet so I can focus on reading the comments. And by the way, I'm not gonna continue the live stream for too long because I understand it's kind of late, and it's like 1:10 a.m. where I am in the Midwest. I'm in Wisconsin. Evelyn, what is the time in Vegas right now, Evelyn? What's the time in Vegas? So Evelyn is still um uh it's still October 29th where you are. 11:10. Okay. So Evelyn is still experiencing October 29, and here we are. For us, it's October the 30th. I'm very close to Chicago. I'm in Wisconsin. 1:10 a.m. Okay, Ducky says too afraid to address the big. What question? What did you ask? I didn't see it. Carlos is asking, are you MAGA? Yeah, we believe in making America great again. Absolutely. Absolutely, Carlos. AC is asking, Tosif, when do you think the shutdown will end? AC, I don't know. That's a good question for Chuck Schumer because it's the Schumer shutdown. It is shocking that we're entering the 30th day, like almost a month of the shutdown. 30th, I mean, this is October the 30th now. I mean, it's a new day, the day just started. But we completed 29 days of government shutdown. Unbelievable. How much of harm, economic harm, we're facing. Economic loss of output. Almost a month of Schumer shutdown. It is Schumer shutdown. That's what it is. And you can call it Hakeem Jeffries shutdown too if you want. Eric is saying Schumer shutdown. Exactly. So it's a good question for Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer will be able to tell you when the shutdown will. Listen. The question is, where are the moderate Democrats? Where are the moderate Democrats? Is the Democrat Party now completely taken over by the far left? Are there any moderate Democrats left? Because the moderate Democrats should just say, you know what, let's end this drama. Let's vote to reopen government. But where are the moderate Democrats? So Schumer would know. Chuck Schumer and the Democrats would know when this shutdown is going to end. But you got to understand, the longer this shutdown goes, federal workers are furloughed, Other federal workers are working and not receiving paycheck. Our military service members, if the shutdown goes on for more days, more weeks, our military service members are not going to get paid. They're not going to get their paychecks, which is going to be devastating for many military families. Think about the air traffic controllers. And you know what? You got to understand this. Our country needs more air traffic controllers. And there are people out there who wish to apply, who wish to go through the training and the education to become an air traffic controller. But if they see such a long shutdown, those potential applicants for air traffic controller positions, those potential applicants will be discouraged. They're not going to want to apply. They wouldn't want to apply if they see that this is the kind of struggle that air traffic controllers can run into, working without pay. So the Democrats are doing permanent damage to our economy, to our transportation sector. This long shutdown is going to discourage people from applying for air traffic controller positions. And once that happens, we are going to continue to experience air traffic controller shortage, which is going to be very, very detrimental for our transportation sector and for our economy as a whole. And you should listen to our Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy. He really explains these issues well. He will explain the issues in simple language everyone can understand. So the longer the shutdown goes, there's going to be some irreparable damage to our economy. There'll be some losses that we will not be able to make up if the shutdown continues. And it's already almost a month. It's day 30 now. So AC, thanks for that question. It's an important question. So I don't know when the government will reopen, when the shutdown will end. Any more questions for me, my friends? Let me know. AC says hit the like. Thank you, AC. Yeah, anyone who has not liked the video yet, please do so. I would appreciate it very much. And I see lots of people here today, so that's great. A lot of people watching this video. Thanks for continuing to watch. Appreciate it. Okay. AC Cruz is asking, is Mamdani going to win? AC, good question. Um, it seems quite likely that, unfortunately, Mamdani is going to win. I think that's what's going to happen. I think a lot of people are hoping that Cuomo is going to catch up, and maybe in the final stretch towards the end, that Cuomo might win, even if by a little bit. I don't know if that's going to happen. It seems that Mamdani is leading. I think he's got the numbers. And even if in the final few days, even if you think that Cuomo may be able to reduce that margin, but I don't think it's going to be enough that Cuomo will defeat Mamdani. I think Mamdani is on his way to victory, and I think we are going to see a mass exit of people from New York. I think people are going to leave. Many people are going to, if Mamdani is elected, many people will say, that's it, we're not staying in New York anymore. New York City is not for us. I think people are going to leave. They're going to go to possibly red states. They might move to Dallas. They might move to, like, anywhere in Texas. They might move to Florida. They might move to, Tennessee, Missouri. They might move to Georgia. Folks might move elsewhere. I think some people might move to Indiana, and there are other states. So I think people are going to leave New York City if Mamdani is elected. Okay, that's what I think. I was looking at the numbers, and I think let's check the latest poll. Give me a second. Mamdani Cuomo. Okay. I'm gonna check Real Clear polling here. All right, let's see. Okay, so the latest poll, the Quinnipiac poll. All right, so this just came out. The latest Quinnipiac poll shows Mamdani at 43%, and it shows Cuomo at 33%. So that's a difference of 10 percentage points, 43 and 33. And then Sliwa is at 14%. Now this is where, and I talked about this before, this is where people have an issue. Hold on a second. Matthew Gonzalez is here. Hi, Matthew. Okay. I am compelled to do certain things which I don't feel like doing, which is when I see people are busy repeating the same comment over and over again, I kind of have to block them, because otherwise it's difficult to continue with a conversation, because I try to see the meaningful questions that people ask, and I can't really see it because all I see are spam comments. So that's what I have to do. Okay. So you can support me, you can oppose me in the live chat. Just make sure you're not repeating the same thing over and over again. All right. I mean, I just had to clean up the live chat window a little bit, not too much. All right. The video is open. People can subscribe and participate in the live chat. So please do so. So as I was saying, the latest poll shows Mamdani at 43, Cuomo at 33, difference of 10 points. But then Curtis Sliwa has 14. So I think still the argument that people are trying to make is for Sliwa to drop out, so that with those 14 percentage points that Sliwa has, if Cuomo can capture all the Sliwa supporters, then he's going to have enough votes to defeat Mamdani. But as I have said before, and I'm not going to repeat those comments in details because you can go back and listen to what I had to say about the New York City mayoral race. I don't think it works that way. I don't think even if Sliwa drops out, it doesn't mean all the Sliwa voters will automatically switch their votes and vote for Cuomo, because trust me, Cuomo, he's now running as an independent, but he's really a Democrat. And so if Sliwa drops out, if Curtis Sliwa drops out, the Sliwa voters may just not vote. Some may switch to Cuomo just for the sake of defeating Mamdani, but he may not have enough still, Cuomo. So I think, sadly, it's Mamdani. Yeah. I mean, in politics, you never know. That's important. You never know. Things can change. And how accurate are the polls? That's another question. How accurate are the polls? I mean, all the polls are showing that Mamdani is winning. So I don't think all the polls are wrong. But then you never know, since we have few days left before the actual election. I think that's November 4th, right? November 4th, Tuesday, that's when the election is. AC is talking about the gubernatorial race. Yeah, that I will be discussing soon, the gubernatorial race. That's going to be important. Not today. I think it's going to require just an episode, a separate live stream by itself, to talk about the New York gubernatorial race. Edwin is here. Hello, Edwin. Thank you for being here. Great to see our friend Edwin. Okay, Tom. Oh, so Tom, you're a New Yorker. Okay. Well, if you're a New Yorker, share your thoughts on the mayoral race. What are you hearing in your neighborhood? What are your friends telling you about who they support? Christina is from California and Texas. Oh, great. All right. I try to get to know um, the new friends here who joined this community. Let's see. Okay. So you reside in California, but you're also from Texas. Okay. We got our friend Kay Cooper is from Texas here, and we have friends from California also. Our friend Swaggy, whose name is Colin, he's from California. I don't know if Swaggy is here today. Matthew is Southern California. Yeah, Matthew is here from Southern California. So Christina, which part of California are you in? Okay, we got a viewer who's from Oregon and Nevada. Okay. Okay. You're from Fresno. Okay. So we have friends from different time zones here. We got friends from East Coast, West Coast, everywhere in between. Rosie is saying blue states are the ones suffering. Yeah, the blue states are suffering clearly because of Democrat policies. And if you look at history, you'll see that the Democrat Party, especially I would say in the last 20 years, has moved so far left. I mean, even the establishment Democrats, all right, people who have been in Democrat Party politics for years, decades, folks like Chuck Schumer, for example. I mean, Chuck Schumer is a Democrat, but now it's a different Democrat Party. It's further. I mean, they were always obviously left, and they always supported policies that were socialist type in nature. I mean, if you think about Obamacare, I mean, yes, we can have all kinds of conversation about Obamacare, but it's really a march towards a single payer system. All right. So many people think that, oh, Obamacare is something that Obama did, and It's supposed to be a solution. It's supposed to address all the issues. Well, it did not. Obamacare created a lot of problems. But in reality, for the Democrats, it's really a step. Obamacare just one giant step towards single payer system. It may not be obvious because with Obamacare, you still have private insurance, private carriers, you have private companies. So you might say, but how? Well, you got to study it in details. You got to study it. All the chaos that's taking place, all the conflicts, all the different things that the Democrats are doing, all the different strategies and their tactics, it's really a very long-term effort by the Democrats to take our country towards a single payer system. That's what they're doing. And I can talk in greater details in a future live stream or a podcast episode about this, so that I can get all the information to you in one live stream, all the data, all the statistics. But really, that's the Democrats' long-term goal. Okay, to take our country towards a single payer system, which is going to be devastating. Single payer in healthcare, it is going to be absolutely devastating. So anyway, going back to the Democrat Party. Yes, the Democrats always had bad ideas and bad policies, but now it's way worse because even, as I said, even the establishment Democrats, even they are losing control of the party because the party is being taken over by folks like AOC and Mamdani. The kind of name recognition that Mamdani has developed among the Democrats in a short span of time. I mean, you go back a year ago, how many people knew about Mamdani? You go back 1 year ago, how many people knew about Mamdani? Yeah, Mamdani he's an elected official, but how many people nationally knew about Mamdani, Zohran Mamdani? But now, everyone knows about Mamdani. So the kind of name recognition that he has, and I wouldn't say popularity, because popularity, I use it for positive things, something that you do, or someone who does something great who becomes popular. But in the case of Mamdani, it's not the right word. I'd just say name recognition, but because yeah, people hear the name Mamdani, they recognize who it is, but he's not exactly popular, okay? To most of the Americans, I mean, to the New Yorkers, and I don't know what's wrong with New York City. To the New Yorkers, he might be popular because obviously he's leading in the polls. But to the country as a whole, Mamdani is not popular. Mamdani represents something that freedom-loving Americans clearly reject. But with the kind of name recognition that Mamdani now has, he's going to be one of the key forces in determining Democrat Party policies going forward. I mean, folks like AOC, folks like Gavin Newsom, Mamdani, Pramila Jayapal, all right? If they are the ones dictating, J.B. Pritzker, if they are the ones dictating Democrat Party strategy policy, then you know that this Democrat Party has gone so far left. It's at full speed. It's heading towards communism. All right. So who do you think is going to win? You can let me know in the live chat. Who do you think is going to win the mayoral race? Is it going to be Mamdani? So yeah, going back to what was it you, Rosie? Who mentioned that about the blue states suffering? Yeah, the blue states are suffering because of Democrats. Absolutely. I mean, look at Illinois. I got friends in Illinois. They're not happy. They're not happy with their taxes. They're not happy with the bureaucracy. They're not happy with the sanctuary, policies that protect illegal aliens. Uh, yeah, you look at the blue states, people are not happy at all. People are leaving California. They're going to Texas. Many people moving out of California. They're packing their bags. They're saying goodbye to California. We don't want to live here anymore. And you know where they're going? They're going to Texas. AC Cruz, you are right. You are absolutely right that President Trump has really stopped 8 wars. And I know that um, most Americans appreciate him. Most Americans are grateful for President Trump's bold actions and his contributions in promoting peace. Um, but folks on the left, they're not going to acknowledge that, and it's kind of sad. It's one of those topics where you would want people to put their politics aside and to really um, stand with the truth, stand with what is right, what is true, and anyone who recognizes the truth, anyone who is willing to admit the truth, would say, "Thank you, President Trump, for stopping all these wars." And he's continuing. His peacemaking efforts are ongoing. Absolutely. By the way, those who want to visit my website, you can do that here. I'm going to give you my website address, tausifanam.net. Yeah, make sure you visit my website and check out my blog, all right? And you can read my blog posts there. You can read my published opinions. Um, Regarding Venezuela, very briefly, I'm just going to say to you what I think about Venezuela. So Venezuela, beautiful country, um, once upon a time was very, very successful, was very wealthy country. And then socialist communist policies ruined Venezuela. But there is hope for Venezuela. Venezuela needs the right leader. Venezuela needs somebody who is going to help the economy turn around and improve. Okay. Maduro clearly should not be in power. And I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel quite hopeful when I see President Trump deploying tremendous resources, military assets in that region. Okay? And I think at some point, Maduro, um, Maduro, I don't know what he's going to do, but I think he understands that dictatorship cannot continue. I think Maduro should understand that his dictatorship cannot continue. So Venezuela is in desperate need of a new leader. And somebody new has to be elevated to a position of power. And as long as Maduro is there, there's not a lot of hope for Venezuela. The economy is going to become worse and worse. The human rights situation, the public safety situation, everything's going in the wrong direction in Venezuela. And this is a country that with the right leadership, it has a lot of potential. Okay? Because once upon a time, it was such a wealthy country. So those are my thoughts. And the people of Venezuela, they need to be liberated. You have to keep in mind, people on the ground right now, people who are living in Venezuela, they're living in very bad condition, and they're oppressed. The people of Venezuela, they're hungry for freedom. That is what they want. If you ask them, what do they want? They want freedom. And freedom is not going to be there as long as Maduro is in power. Because Maduro doesn't like freedom. He wants power, and he's oppressing the people of his own country. So those are my thoughts. And I do believe, that as the greatest country in the world, as the most powerful country in the world, as a country where our topmost priority is freedom, and of course, rule of law. As the global leader, we do have a moral responsibility to promote peace and freedom. We do. Okay? I mean, God has blessed our country, and we have that moral responsibility to promote freedom, to help people achieve freedom. I mean, you look at what President Trump is doing. President Trump is negotiating, he's renegotiating He's coming to agreements on frameworks. He's coming to agreements on trade deals. And in the process, he is ensuring fairness in the global trade system. He is ensuring fairness in bilateral trade relationships, which, as I said, is benefiting the US and is also benefiting the country that we're dealing with. So it's a win-win situation in all these bilateral trade deals that President Trump is finalizing. And so it's also our responsibility to promote peace. And right now in Venezuela, there is no peace. Right now in Venezuela, there's fear. Right now in Venezuela, there's oppression, there's tyranny. So what can we do as the United States of America to help promote peace? Look, President Trump is trying to promote peace between Ukraine and Russia. So when we see the people of Venezuela suffer, how can we help the people of Venezuela achieve freedom and peace? That's the question that I'm going to ask you, and you can just let me know. I mean, these are human beings we're talking about. See, when President Trump talks about Ukraine and Russia, he's considering mankind. He's thinking about humanity. There are Russians who are dying. There are Ukrainians who are dying. And we're far, far away from them. But we care. Why do we care? Because we want human lives to be saved. We want bloodshed to stop. We want peace to prevail. We want people to be able to live freely and enjoy life and be productive. So we want that war to end. Similarly, the people of Venezuela, they're wonderful people, but they're suffering because of Maduro and his regime. So just ask yourself, what can we do as the United States of America, as the country that is a symbol of freedom? What can we do to help the people of Venezuela? I'll let you answer that. I mean, you don't have to let me know your answer. You don't have to let me know your answer. You just think about it. You think about it and you search for the answer yourself. AC Cruz is saying they need to be liberated from that dictator. The people of Venezuela, they're hungry for freedom. Kay Cooper says, I agree, AC. Yeah, thank you, Kay. All right. Okay, my friends. Wow, 1 hour, 40 minutes. It's been a Long live stream. I've done longer live streams. I've done many live streams more than 2 hours long. Um, I've done live streams that are that were more than 3 hours long, actually. If you have seen my live streams right before the election, even after the election, I've done some really long live streams. All right. Okay. By the way, my friends, I want to thank you all for getting us so close to 15,000 subscribers. We're just a few subscribers away from 15,000, believe it or not. So anyone who has not subscribed yet, now would be an opportunity to do that and be a part of this community. All right. Okay. Well, Jonathan is saying, why would they subscribe when you don't answer their question? I do answer their questions. I do answer a lot of questions. Today I just answered a bunch of questions. I not only answer questions, but I also respond to statements and comments being made. So thanks for being here, Steve, and others. So yeah, no, I do answer questions. It's not possible to answer each and every questions because I get a lot of questions. So not possible to. I mean, I get sometimes from dozens to hundreds of questions. Can't answer each and every question, so I apologize if I missed any question. My mistake. Maybe I didn't see it. Maybe I didn't see it. Maybe I missed it, right? So I apologize for that. But it's always my goal. I mean, Kay Cooper is saying Tosif is a great host. Thank you, Kay Cooper. So, listen to our friends who have been with this community for a long time. You listen to Kay Cooper, you listen to Evelyn, listen to AC, listen to Frank and Richard and William and Edwin and Swaggy and Freshly and there are others, Dee Dee, and many others. Suzanne, Swaggy. Did I mention Swaggy? So yeah, I try to answer questions. Okay, and I always ask people, ask meaningful, serious questions. Okay, because some of the questions I know that they're just those are sarcastic questions. When I see a sarcastic question, I don't answer that. Okay. If people are genuinely asking questions, meaningful, yes, of course I answer that. And whenever I am silent and I'm looking away from the camera, that means I am looking at my laptop screen here. I got my laptop right here. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up now. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you all. I appreciate you all. Thanks for being here. It's getting close to 2 hours almost. We've been here 1 hour, 46 minutes. So I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you so very much for your continued support. Once again, before I conclude, I'm just going to ask one more time. If you have not subscribed and you would like to, please do that. That would help us cross the 15,000 subscriber mark. And then we're going to be on our way to 20,000, hopefully. And I try to do live streams every day. But I have a very busy day. So I got, obviously I have work, I have my personal life, I have other research projects I do. I do a lot of writing. And so sometimes it's very late at night that I get opportunity to do a live stream. Sometimes it's, even after midnight like today. Sometimes it's really early in the morning. So, I have to balance everything. I have to balance my personal life. I have to balance, my work life. I have to balance my other hobbies that I have. And then, I try to do these live streams. So it means a lot when you all tune in and when you all subscribe and show your support. And subscribing, it doesn't cost you any money. It's just free. You just subscribe, hit the subscribe button. That's it. It doesn't cost you a dime. Means a lot when you subscribe and when you share my video, like my video. I appreciate that truly, truly. This channel, still a small channel, less than 15,000 subscribers as of now. But if you saw me at less than 1,000, and then how I got to 1,000 and then to 2,000, 3,000, how this channel has grown significantly, with a lot of momentum. We're trying to make sure that we continue at that pace. And so, but really, it doesn't matter if it's a big channel or a medium size or a small channel, because it's all about the human connection that we make here. People from so many different parts of the country, in fact, different parts of the world, they tune in. We got a friend, Michael Brown, who tunes in from Australia. We got Marjorie, who joins us from Canada. And there are people from other countries, South Africa, different countries in Europe and other places in Asia. So really a community, and hopefully we will continue to grow. So with that, thank you so very much. I appreciate you all. And I'm just going to say, let's continue to pray for our country. Let's pray for our country. Let's pray for Donald Trump. And let's pray for our strong allies. And let's pray for peace. And let's hope that people who are oppressed, they can be liberated, that they can establish a society where freedom prevails, where rights are protected, human rights. So, my friends, may God bless you all. May God bless President Donald J. Trump. May God bless the Trump administration. May God bless the United States of America. Of course, may God bless our Republican leaders in Washington. May God bless America. May God bless American allies, and may God bless freedom-loving people all over the world. With that, my friends, always keep in mind, my friends, that together we will make America great again. So with that, I'm going to end this live stream. Have a wonderful day, and I'm going to be back again very soon with more videos and more live stream. Thank you. Bye-bye.